Emily Miller, here you are.
Richmond.
How are you, my friend?
I'm good.
Okay.
How are you?
No, I'll grab it. I am good. Everything is topsy-turvy here today, as we talked about
Yeah, no.
earlier.
I've had some internet ups and downs lately as well, and the provider has said, "Hey, we're doing a new service in your area," and I'm like, leave it alone. It was fine. You
That's
know,
right.
uh, they're trying to get me to change this to a cellular modem, and
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't have that many bars here anyway for my phone. Why do you want me to
Yeah.
do that? I don't want. No, I don't want to do that. I want to have a hard wire. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, today Hardwire is not working for me. So I am, my friends, running everything off of my phone today.
Old school.
So old school. I've got this, I've got this, I've got it all. So thankfully, Emily is our demoer today, so she can have two cameras. Um, so let me catch you up, my friends, while Emily and I have a little bit of coffee. She has a giant mug. Look, Emily, hold up your giant mug. I'll hold up my tiny cup. Yeah, see there we are. I love it.
This is
I love
from
it.
this is from my friend Ben. His pottery company is Dirty Water Pottery,
Oh,
and
that's cool.
he really makes the prettiest.
That mug is beautiful.
Can't really quite see all the beauty of this one, but
Oh,
I have three or maybe four of his. He's a market friend, another fellow marketer, and he's moved to New York now. So I don't know if I'm ever going to get any more mugs from him or not.
right.
Probably
Oh,
should ship them, I'm sure, but
yeah, you
it's
probably
fun
could.
picking him out in person. And he always just had the nicest mugs. So
Oh, I love it. I love a good mug,
yeah,
100%.
I like a big mug.
Big mug, yeah. I'm telling you. Okay, so my friends, let me catch you up. Bunch of things. You can see I'm still in the studio. I'm still at home here, but I have a little bit of a different background. This weekend, I moved everything to all of my studio stuff to my studio here in Fresno. And I'm here. Let me show you. I'm going to turn this. Here's a dose of realness for everybody. See over there? That's
You just
usually
moved like 3 years ago or 2 years ago. Now you're moving again.
move it again. So see there?
Girlfriend.
That's where I usually broadcast from. But see, boxes and mess and everything. So I thought I'd turn it around. So it was kind of clean over here and not set up in the least. But I'll get it there because we've got a full week for all of you all. Number one, let me catch you up and then we're going to pass it over to Emily and her fantastic chain piece. Tomorrow is our third Thursday earring. If you haven't seen it, I am so excited.
Ooh,
Yes,
pretty.
Emily, those are
Yeah.
five crystal cubes in a
So
row.
pretty.
I've given you enough findings so you can make two short pairs, or you can make the Kate Richburg, I'm wearing a Say Something earring pair. Um, and they're not
Museum
that
earring.
heavy.
Museum earring. Museum
All
earring.
right. Museum Lady earring. I love them so much. So they will go up tomorrow or tonight at midnight. Today, if you're watching live, it is Wednesday, April 17th. I think you'll love them. I'm really super stoked about them. And they are kind of delicate colors. You get
Very.
5 different colors to pair. So I'm pretty stoked. So that's going to happen tomorrow. Friday, I'm going to have the preview for our Great Bead Extravaganza kit. Great Bead Extravaganzas this weekend. Friday night's the preview on the Great Bead Extravaganza page. And then Saturday we launch the kits on Friday. Saturday I'll do the demo for that. And then on Friday, since we're launching the kit, but this week we also launched more symbols for super duos. I know you saw those. They're
I
gorgeous.
I I actually got the ink off my hands because I was dyeing beads yesterday because I'm working with a super duo project,
Oh,
or maybe
mm-hmm.
two. Mhm. And you know how I like to dye alcohol ink beads.
I
So
do.
I had green all over me, and I managed to get it all off. But I'm like a kid. I can't help it.
Yeah, I know. Who needs gloves, right? These are
Yeah.
that's right.
Well, I
Pshaw.
depends on the chemical, I suppose.
That's
But
right. That's right. But alcohol inks, I'm
well,
good.
I did pretty good. I had a couple of places like I was doing
Here.
majorly green, right?
Oh, wow.
And look how pretty this one came out. So these are
Oh,
just the colors of
wow.
alcohol inks on a paper towel. So I use them to kind of hang on to the beads while I'm working with them, and a paper plate underneath, which gets reused a lot. But
Nice. And
yeah,
that's gonna be a future project, a super duo project for us, right?
yeah. It's coming up. It's coming up.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait.
So,
Well, we have today. Oh, so on the symbols note, I am going to talk to you about those on Friday. I'm going to preview the kits. Stay tuned. They go live on Friday. They're really beautiful. I'm calling it the Maverick kit. You folks got a little bit of a preview of that. I think you'll love it. And then we're going to talk symbols on Friday. Okay. So you're going to learn a lot more about them, and we'll have some more projects coming up with them. We have some more symbols that we're going to be launching all in the Tyler line, which I love. And then we're doing a whole gem duo line, which I wasn't sure, I'll be honest. I don't always love the shape beads. I'm like, I don't know. Maybe I relate, whatever. But the gem duos, I'm kind of in love with. They're so, they feel opulent to me. I like them. So anyway, more on that.
I feel the same way. I'm an old school beater, so
Mhm.
2-hole beads, the whole revolution of like the 2-hole bead, the whole system of all that coming out, it
Right.
kind of came out when I was sort of moving off into another direction, I think. And so it never really didn't
Mhm.
really pick up for
Agreed.
me. And playing a bit more with the super duos with a kind of more of a finished project in mind has been kind of fun.
Mhm.
And I love the colors. I
Mhm.
think they're really cool. They have, some are double sided, some are kind of half and half, and um, they are kind of nice to play with. It's lovely to have such a consistent double hole bead. I mean, I know old vintage double holes that I've had have been, they're a little consistent, but these are just so much easier to work with. I mean, it's got all
Yeah,
the
they fit
modern
together
convenience.
perfectly. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're like little delicious puzzle pieces.
yeah.
Friends, my internet is showing me a couple of things. Let me break in just real quick and tell you, since I'm running everything off my phone, if for some reason I cut out or whatever, we'll be back. So if we have an
No,
unconquerable tactical glitch, uh, we'll be back. So I'm so sorry that, uh, I'm really fading in and out. They call it a
yeah.
planned outage, um, not so planned. Anyway, let me get to the
I'm good
chain
now.
and everything so
Yeah, yeah.
you
Do
can
it.
get your show on the road. Let me show you folks a couple of things. I did a special coupon code for Emily for today only. Let me see if I can get it to go up there. Sorry. As a thank you for being part of our live community today only, and it's only on this live broadcast, my friends. You can enter chain 30 at checkout, and you'll save 30% on all of the chain. This chain necklace that Emily has made is just, I think it's just a showstopper. And it's a great one. Emily will talk about using your bits and bobs left over from chain, but it's also a great time to stock up on chain. This is such a great spring into summer necklace. I'm going to the Riviera and lounging around in my beautiful chain necklace. I love it. So I'll flash this a few times. It's on the ticker below. I'll take all this down when Emily is demoing, but then I'll put it back up. So make note, chain 30, viewer only. Thank you folks so much for being here, because again, if you're not here, we're not here. So we super appreciate. Em, I'm going to add your piece to the stage as well.
Okay.
And you
I
had
just want
something for
to say
me?
flash by, Kate. Your banner underneath, all 30% off on all metal beads as well tonight.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. It's
FYI.
actually, did you see how I repurposed that
Do
from
you want to
the
fix
other
that?
one? So it's actually just on screen. I blame it on my internet.
That's all right.
Let me
That's
take this
okay.
off.
I
Let me
just
update it.
somebody just Carrie just mentioned that on YouTube. I have the YouTube running,
Oh, sorry.
and
It's this one. It's this one. I put up the wrong one. The Metal Beads 30 was from a few weeks ago. I'm sorry, my friends. Blame it on the internet.
quick
Entered
fixing.
code chain 30. Maybe I'll make metals 30. Maybe I'll just make metals 30 live. I don't know. Why not? Let me see if I can do that.
Thank you, Cindy Lynch. I see your note here. I can't talk and type, so I
I
appreciate it.
know.
And
Totally.
anytime you have to be in the Sacramento area on a Saturday, please come by.
Please come by. And a big, yeah, because Emily, I wait for your display of the day.
I love doing display of the day. It's so fun, when I set up my booth at the market, putting in all the infrastructure, the tables and the displays, putting all that stuff up it's kind of boring. But once I get to display all the things, then it's like fun. And then I can stand there for hours. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not very busy right now, early in the season when we open early till about 10 o'clock. So then I have like these 2 hours that I have this tiny space to work in, and no one can tell me. I don't have to take any advice from anybody, or
It's all you.
it's all I'm totally in control. Oh my God, it's such a great feeling.
I love it. And I'll put Emily's Insta up. You can always check out Emily's Insta.
Thank you, Nancy.
What's that?
Nancy just said she liked the display of the day too. Thank you, Nancy. I appreciate you've actually been by the booth at the market at least once, maybe twice. I don't know. It was a lot of fun. So
It is. And you know what I just did, Emily?
what?
I activated Metal Beads 30.
Perfect. Well, let's not distract you anymore, right?
Yeah, I don't want to disappoint you. So if you saw Metal Beads 30, but you have to choose.
Oh.
You can use Metal Beads 30
or chain 30
or chain 30.
Perfect. Well, metal beads do come up on sale occasionally, so
they do.
Chain 30 to me would be my choice.
Would be better, but I activated them both just for fun. But you're gonna have to choose. And before you get started, a big happy birthday to our lovely Carrie Keaton. Happy birthday,
Carrie.
Quick healing. Quick healing. Yes, or place 2 orders. Exactly.
JP's got your back, Jack.
Yes. It's true. So you're gonna have to place 2 orders. They're up there. So my mistake is your gain. And there's Emily B. Miller Jewelry. She's up there.
Thank you.
All right. There has been enough of my chatter and enough of my screw ups this morning.
Never enough of your chatter, Kate. Never enough.
I'm gonna hide all of this. I'm going to highlight your fantastic chain piece. And before you take that off, people are going to be noticing. Why don't you put that down and show people a few things that are coming up? Let me highlight this.
So for a couple of years now, I've been making really long bead crochet ropes for my friends that are having what I consider a milestone birthday. And I did one for my friend Lisa. I did one for my friend Kate. And I actually had a milestone birthday last year. And I started this last year and I didn't really finish it in time for my own milestone birthday. Surprise, surprise. But I did get a wild hair and decided that I was going to finish it. So I made a 60-inch long bead crochet rope. And my favorite color is blue, which is everyone's favorite color, but I decided
look
to do
at that stripe that's in there, Em. That's from your stash, isn't it?
I did a lot of the stripe because I like the stripes. And there's another blue and white stripe here, blue with a white stripe.
Oh,
But it's really lovely, and I got to tell you, I have been wearing it nonstop, and it's long enough that it'll go around my wrist 7 times, which is a nice long bracelet. Makes a nice
Oh,
stack.
isn't it delicious? I adore mine. I'm gonna run and get it so I can put it on when I'm back on the some of
And
you have
then
seen it.
upcoming real soon is a new bead crochet with delicas. I actually kind of came across this technique with delicas, and I'd never thought about doing delicas in bead crochet. I just thought maybe they would be too pokey and too rough around the edges, um,
Mhm.
but they're not. And I made my own mix, and then I showed this to Janice, and she said, "That's beautiful. What kind of how many colors of beads?" And I counted them up. There's 27 colors.
That's right.
So it's not real sustainable, maybe for a Beadshop mix, but we're going to make something very like for you two guys to have. This is an
Yeah.
11s mix of just opaque 11 size seed beads, and we're going to do an 8 mix as well. So you'll have some options to play around with. But I
Yeah.
really love bead crochet. I definitely get on kind of a jag of doing it, but I can go for hours. I bought an over the neck knitting light like Kate had. She showed you not
Yes.
long ago, and I run the battery down pretty much every night now because
Oh, I love it.
I realize that I'm squinting because I'm watching TV with like half an eye, and then my other 1.5 eyes are doing bead crochet. And I was like, I can't see the bead crochet anymore. Why can't I see it? Oh, because my headlamp is running out of juice.
Right, right, right. And bead crochet is different than right angle. It is
Yes.
not the same.
Yeah, no, Sharon, bead crochet is another animal. And if you
Mhm.
already know how to crochet, bead crochet I think is doable. And if you don't know how to crochet but you are committed, then you can also do it.
You can do it.
Takes a
Mhm.
little minute to get started. Once you're going along though, you just go 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 for days.
Mhm.
So I'm actually working on a new long one for a good friend who's having a milestone birthday this year
Yeah,
in
it's so
the end of
gorgeous.
July. So I have to start. I am working every night now to try and get it done for her birthday because I just don't want to miss it.
So I've got a couple more, and then I'll turn it over to you. Happy
Sure.
first wedding anniversary to you, my friend Leslie.
Yeah.
Congratulations. And my friend Curtis, leafy loop, they're not metal beads. Sorry, that'd be in clasps, but you never know when I'm going to put clasps on. So anyway, so those are my answers. Let's take a look at your fantastic chain piece. Emily, I am going to walk away for just a second. I need
Absolutely.
to make sure that I get my I want to really make sure that my computer is not going to run out of juice. And I'm going to go see if I can find my crocheted piece. So I'll be right back.
All right. I have made this necklace a few times for sale, and I love the effect of it. Most of the time, where I come from for inspiration for this piece, literally, was from leftover chain pieces. When you have a little bit of chain, 4, 6, 8 inches, not really long enough to make a bracelet or a necklace, or maybe just really close, and you're still going to have leftover. I think this is a great necklace to make. I think this is perfect for someone who wants to have something that's super elegant that goes on really quickly but has a lot of a statement appeal to it. I think it would work great for work because I think it's very work appropriate, office appropriate if you happen to have kind of one of those jobs where you go in and you have to wear a certain level of clothing. But I do think I would even wear this out at night with kind of a fun sparkly evening kind of outfit. I love to use up all my last little bits and pieces of chain and get every penny out of the chain that I bought. For this necklace, any chains that you choose will be appropriate. I would choose a good mix of chains, and you can double them up. So we can have more than one strand of each chain in this mix. And I certainly do to give it some volume. And when you buy chain, gosh, it's hard to tell people how much of something to buy. Like, do you buy one tube of seed beads? Do you buy two? Do you buy three? I would start out maybe if you were buying chains, and even if it's a chain you're not 100% familiar with, or it's a chain maybe you don't know if you're going to love it, buy a couple feet. So the advantage to buying a couple feet is you can make a necklace, a 16 or 18-inch necklace. You still have 6 inches left over ish to play around with. One of the things that is, I think, also critical about working with chain is to not cut it up into too many small pieces initially. Certain chains you can put them back together with a jump ring, or you can do a wire wrap in between them. But if you want to have that kind of, I think, more elegant, a little bit more upmarket look, keeping that chain as big a piece as possible for as long as possible is probably a great idea. So this was all in the matte gold chains, and there are paper clip chains. There are, and I don't have all the names, so you guys are going to have JP is going to have fingers flying when she goes to link all of these. I know this one is Endless Love, because it's one of the ones that I really use a lot of, and I find that it's a really good kind of basic chain. But the paper clip chains, the longs and shorts, all these chains, this guy, I wish I remembered the name on this guy, but he's one of my faves also. It's got a little bit of density to it, but it's not a real heavy chain. It's just kind of got good vibes. And I would even pick some sort of lighter chains. And if you have what I consider chain scrap in your stock at home, pull them all out. And really what we're going to look at kind of on this necklace to begin with is kind of how I put this together measurement wise. I used about, on these sides of these necklaces, I work for about 4 to 6 to 8 inches. So this particular one, I'm going to grab my measuring tape. These guys, these really large paper clip links, they came out to be just about 6 inches long pretty easily. Now, if I had to make a decision and to cut one of these links, do I cut it a little longer or a little shorter? I'd probably cut it a little longer. And I usually use a measuring tape just like this, and I'll measure from in a mirror, stand at a mirror, and measure from the center back of my neck around the sides. And I want to see some of that necklace around the side. My hair happens to be short, so if you have longer hair, you might actually want this piece to be a little longer on the side, because that would make it show a little bit more. But you could choose to have it shorter. It's kind of your option. And you can also choose to make this adjustable so that it would fit you at different lengths and fit it at different necklines and things like that.
I don't mean to interrupt him, but I'm back, and I just love the way that looks.
It's really pretty. The other option that you could do here, and I can use this guy right here, is we could actually have 2 different chains on these sides, and it would look awesome, right? I could actually have these 2 chains, or even a smaller chain, and you can scale this up or down. So I could have 2 different chains on either side of this necklace, and it would still be very cool. Give it a little bit more of an artistic flair to it. I like to use a little bit of an extender on chains. Much of the things I do now, I make with an eye towards selling them at my booth at the market and selling them online. And having a little bit of an extension on a chain, I think, really makes good sense. It really means you can fit a few more people and have that length be a little more adjustable for somebody. Now, I didn't yet put a little dangle on the end of this, and you can choose one way or the other. You don't have to have a little dangle on the end. I thought this looked a little bit more formal without any kind of a gem hanging from it, but you can certainly do whichever you like. I used a fairly small, short lobster claw. This is like the smaller one. It will hook into that paper clip chain, but not securely. So adding that little bit of a safety chain, or that little bit of an extension chain, really gives that option for a little bit longer length, right? And I figure on 1 inch to 1.5 inches to 2 inches on an extension chain. Once you get past about 2 inches, imagine how long that would be, right? This is about 1 inch long. And if I went to 2 inches, that would be a lot of length hanging down the back of someone's neck. That might not be as useful, okay? So my 2 lengths on this guy were 6 inches. So I know that personally, I like something in the 18 to 20 inch long length. And, everybody's a little bit different. I find with bracelets and with necklaces, I don't like them to I don't like them to be a choker or to cling to me too tightly. I like to have a little air underneath my bracelets for them to just move and not kind of cling onto my skin. I don't know why that is, but that's just the way I like it. So you can do you. I used, I think, 6 different kinds of chain. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes. 6 different types of chain, 2 of each, I believe. So I have two complete sets. And these guys are going to range now. So I have 12 inches here. The shortest I could do would be another 6 inches. But I got to say, I think it's nice to have a little bit of a length difference, right? So here on these guys door to door run about 7.5 inches. Okay. So 6 inches, 6 inches, 12. So we're kind of looking at about 19.5 overall. So that fits in with my 18, 20 inch kind of preferred length of necklace. And for me, this kind of lands just below my collarbone. So, if we look in the mirror, and I know JP does a really nice job of explaining this when we talk about length at our retreat, and she really fits everybody. And you should kind of have some idea of sort of where you like a necklace. If I do something between about 18 and 20 inches, it lands on my collarbone to a little bit longer, and it kind of leaves me a little bit of room to still have a pendant. So it might be a length that I want to have a pendant on. It might not be. So I'm going to have my chains attached to jump rings, and I have some pretty strong feelings about jump rings. I like the jump rings to be super strong. So
And this, just real quick, there is a question, Emily, and that's what you're really addressing now. The chains are not twisting with each other. This is
no, not
exactly
especially. No, because these chains are actually in 3 groups,
right.
right?
Really
So
clever.
you
So
could,
clever.
if you wanted to twist this, you could, but I'll tell you, it may give you fits because it's not going to stay like that.
Right.
To
I
make
love
a
it.
chain, to make a necklace twist and stay, we're going to have to join it up in the middle somewhere.
Mhm.
The other thing that would give you fits about this, and this is sort of a funny technical thing that you would probably figure this out when we have these longer link chains mixed in with shorter link chains. You're probably not going to be able to cut these chains all exactly the same length,
Mm.
because wherever you cut the link, that's where you are. You can add a couple jump rings to make them closer to the same length if you like, but I kind of liked this almost looking like it just disappears to that main chain link. There's
Agreed.
very little visibility to my mechanics. You know, I've said this before, I'll say it again. I think jewelry making is all about problem solving. It's all about, how do I get this to that and make it look really amazing? How do I do those two things, get those two things to join to one another and kind of look like it's a magic trick? So my strong feelings about jump rings is that you pretty much want heavy jump rings for most of your joining. So when you go to beadshop.com and you're looking at jump rings, look at this millimeter. So this 6 millimeter is going to describe let's grab my handy dandy measuring tool. I've got a couple out here. Turn on. So this 6 millimeter jump ring is going to describe the outside diameter. Okay. So that outside diameter, it's a little hard to say because this jump ring isn't quite closed. It's going to be about 6 millimeters. The inside diameter then is about 4. See how I knew that already? So the way I knew that is that this is an 18 gauge jump ring. So gauge is the measurement that we use to measure the diameter of the wire. The higher the number in the gauge, the thinner the wire is. The lower the number, going towards 0, the bigger around the wire gets. I want my jump rings to be at least 18 gauge. So that 18 gauge gives me, here it is right on the package, right? If you're buying jump rings and it doesn't actually tell you what the gauge is, you're going to have some frustrations. So it's not repeatable, right? Can't do it over and over again if you don't know the size exactly. So that 16 gauge, 6 millimeter, 18 gauge jump ring. 6 millimeter is the outside dimension, the OD, which you'll see that too. And the ID is 4. And I know that because 18 gauge wire is about 1 millimeter. So 1 millimeter, 4 millimeters, 1 millimeter. Do you guys get that? You get that?
Yeah,
That
that's a
measurement?
really great way, Emily, of explaining it. I was actually hanging on to your every word, and I didn't really think about it really, and I've been doing this a long time. The outside diameter plus the millimeter of the wire equals the flippin' inner diameter when it's
Yeah.
around the ring.
Yeah.
Mind blown. I
So
gotta go write down.
so remember, there's 2 outside diameters, right? So you have to add 1 millimeter there and 1 millimeter on the other side, and then the 4 in the middle. So that would make it 6 millimeter, right?
So smart.
So you, even if you know one, if you know 2 of the 3 things, you can figure it out. Gosh,
Yeah.
algebra. I hate you, algebra.
Yeah. But
Outside
sometimes,
diameter is 6 millimeter. It's an
yeah.
18 gauge ring. That means the inside diameter is 4 millimeter.
Yeah.
So if
And just
this is an easy one to figure out,
yeah,
and it's got nice, easy, simple, round numbers. So
right.
um,
So good.
it's
And all
easy.
colors, just real quick, all colors, Sharon's asking, all flavors of the chain are on sale, not just the gold.
Correct. And yes, Janice, you're right. You could braid the chain sections. So
Mhm.
my problem with a 3-strand braid is that it's going to be kind of flat. So you're kind of missing out on some of the dimension. So
Mhm.
I don't know. You could absolutely do that though. So I
Oh, it's
cut all
delicious.
my chains and I put multiple of them on jump rings. Now, one thing about making something that is, trying to get the right word here, making something that looks unplanned but is totally planned. I think what I like to do is I try not to do too many things in a regular fashion. So I'm trying for planned chaos a little bit here, which means that I'm not going to divide all my strands of chains and put an equal amount on each jump ring. I really want it to be a little chaotic and I want it to be looking a little not regular. So I'm going to mix up what I put on my strands, on my jump rings. So I have one strand that has 5, one strand that has 2, and the other one I think will end up with 5 again. So I'm trying to mix this up so it doesn't look quite so even. I want it to be mixed up, but I don't want it to be a planned. I don't want it to look um even is not the right word. I don't want it to look consistent. I want it to look like planned consistency so that it hangs and kind of has a natural fall and a natural drape to it. Another thing that I think is really fun to play around with is the fact that we have matte chain as well as shiny chain. So I think matte and metal ups the elegance factor a lot. It is a little more of a delicate finish. In other words, it could, by being rubbed a whole lot, actually get a little shinier. But I think that matte has a little bit more of a, I'm going to say, uh, old world or old school kind of elegance to it. This looks like it could be chain that's been passed down in a bunch of family ways. It's something, it's quiet elegance, quiet luxury. It's got that beautiful kind of patina to it. So I chose matte gold jump rings, matte gold chain, matte gold clasp, and matte gold little bit of extension chain, all the same. You could absolutely mix in some other things with this. And this is one of the things, this was Janice's suggestion. Can we do something else in there? We absolutely can. So I would always want to decorate the chain and do it with more and more options. This is something that, these are actually little beads that I helped Kate pick out at one of the gem shows once upon a time. These rubies with the gold around the outside, the gold bezeling. Oh my gosh, they really do have a level of quiet luxury to them that I think you could lay this right into these chain strands and it would look amazing. So this brings it up another direction, and it pulls a color in, which, sometimes we want a necklace or a piece of jewelry that goes with everything. And taking away the color, we could have something that goes really, really well with everything. I know that Beadshop is built on on shadows. Oh my gosh, where's my strand? Here it is. Built on shadow beads business, and they have also been a favorite of mine for years and years and years. And Kate did this the other week. I was watching her, and
Great,
I said,
great minds, Emily.
out of my head. So I took, tell me again the size of the smallest shadow. What's it called?
That's the little shadow.
Little
It's the
shadow.
smallest
Thank
one.
you.
And it's like about an 8-aught seed bead is the little
Right.
shadow.
So I took little shadows and I put 3 on a jump ring and added a second jump ring to attach it to my chain. So if I hadn't added a second jump ring, these little shadow rings would be kind of sitting on their sides. So I think this is a great way to play with the shadows, and
I love how it looks.
I am not stopping. I've got a new one to show you for this in a minute here. And adding this in, I actually probably put this at the bottom along the longest length that I could on this necklace, because I think that it really adds to that collar effect and kind of brings things way out. And it just really adds some sparkle and a little bit of movement. One thing that can happen, I think, when you're designing with lots and lots of heavier chains, it does begin to look a little condensed, a little bit rope-like. And adding something that has a little bit of movement, I love that.
It's almost like day into night, Emily. Or night into day or whatever.
Right.
I love how that looks. And are there three little shadows on that?
3 little shadows.
So
And
nice.
I think that's pardon me while I grab my multitude of baggies here on my work table, because I have every baggie. This is a 5mm jump ring, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I love how full this got and how solid this is. But wait till I show you the next thing that I did with the.
Oh, I love it.
Because you're gonna love it, right? And making that little dangle, it's the easiest 10 minutes you're ever gonna spend, right?
And that little dangle would look great on the end of earrings. I mean,
Oh,
that little dangle that you made has a lot of.
It's got all kinds of legs. It could
Mhm.
go all kinds of places with this.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that Kate and I design stuff, and we absolutely have the same thoughts. We're working with the same. We are working with the same material, so our thoughts are all in a perfect line.
I agree. I agree.
And I will never give up wire wrapping. This was, I know you've heard me say this before, the second jewelry making class I took in modern times, putting aside jewelry classes that I took in college and high school, was basic wire with Kate Richburg.
Which still blows my mind.
I want to say that was about 1992 or 3-ish. Kate had short auburn hair, and had a big flip at the top. And she was really the boss of the classroom. She came in and she just had, oh my God.
I'm blushing.
You were acting as if you didn't have it already, you were certainly acting as if.
And I was a lot younger, so not as many classes under my belt.
Wire wrapping is the effect of putting a small piece of wire through a bead and making these links on the loops on each side. Now, I cut apart a very small piece of that endless love chain to get these rings. This is a technique that's especially handy when you come up with a chain that might look like this.
Mm-hmm.
We can take this apart and use all of these component pieces to wire wrap to them to give us I don't know, 1-2 more different chains out of this one chain, right? Or space them out, so maybe infinite numbers of different chains with wire wrapped beads on them. We could also hang the shadows, tiny shadows jumping from these guys. There's kind of no stopping it, right? So if your wire wrapping skills, if you feel like you're struggling with your wire wrapping skills, sit down with some beads, make some chain. Now, I did the black because I think black and gold
I
look.
love the way that looks. And Emily, is that a 4 millimeter fire polish?
It indeed is a 4 millimeter fire
Yeah,
polish, and I believe it is just
gorgeous. It's
jet
gorgeous.
colored. Let me pull
Yeah,
out
I think it's
what
just the
I had.
jet.
Yes, it's just the jet. There was also this jet brown, which let me pull
I
it up.
like that one. And Emily, you use the little shadows, not the regular shadows, just confirming.
Yes, confirmed. Little
Yeah.
shadows. And then I'm going to show you what I did with regular shadows in a minute.
Yeah. Okay, I can't wait.
Hold on.
But so if you folks look at that just beautiful photo of that's on Emily's bead board, using all of those, I mean, each one that Emily kind of lays along that chain just really changes the look. So it's a great base necklace, Emily, like you were saying.
It is a really fun one to play around with, and it's beautiful just alone, absolutely by itself. We could also, speaking of which, we could also attach a little up on a link or two to give us a little bit of a more of a cascade. So if
Mhm.
you want something that fits more, and I hate this term, but this is what people call it in the industry. If you want something that fits more like a bib, so
Mhm.
in other words, the lengths of the necklaces, the lengths of the chains, kind of nest inside one another. You're probably going to look at about a third to a half an inch difference in length of each of your chains.
Mhm.
And you can accomplish that a couple of ways. You can cut the chains different lengths. You can also have the chain that you're using on the sides of the necklace not be a paper clip like this, but be one that
Mhm.
has a more regular link, like Endless Love.
Mhm.
And then you can attach at different points as you go along on the chain. And that will give you that bib or that lengths of necklace chains hanging inside of one another. So about a third to about a half inch will give you that stacking effect so that you have those lengths kind of coming down.
Oh,
It's,
it's so good.
you know, bib necklaces to me and necklaces where the beads are graduated, they feel very static. It doesn't feel like it has a lot of movement within itself. This makes my eye kind of move around all these different chains and looking, admiring all that texture and
Mhm.
looking at what looks like a really beautiful kind of opulent hanging kind of style. And so for me, when I look at different styles of necklaces, different styles of jewelry, that bib shape or things that have a graduated necklace, and pearls are really common to come graduated. That's a style that's been around forever and is not going away. But that graduated look, it feels a little bit static. It just feels not like it just doesn't have too much movement. It's sort of understood. Doesn't want to make me look at it for a long period because I look at it a couple times. I go, got it. It's
Mhm.
graduated beads. So I think having more texture, more movement makes things a little more interesting, and
Mhm.
it makes you work a little harder, at what you're doing. Um, I think this one hanging a little shorter inside also would look really pretty, right?
And those are our bezeled stones, is that right, Emily? Our little
They are.
bezeled fillets?
So these are the ruby, which is my
Mhm.
birthstone. And these come, when they come, the stones are often slightly different colors. I actually chose to put the darker one kind of in the middle and bracket it by the lighter colors, but you can do whatever you like. I think an odd number of them looks the most even. I know that sounds like a funny way to put it, but I do think with jewelry, most of the time, an odd number looks a little more balanced, and that's really what I mean by even.
Mhm.
I think having something that looks unbalanced, has tension, and makes you pay attention to it, kind of trying to figure out where that balance point is. But I think it's normal with our eyes and our brains that we kind of seek to have that balanced look. So if you don't want a balanced look, please don't do it. Do what you like, but
Mhm.
I think notice how that makes you feel versus when you look at something that has a very kind of a balanced, laid out kind of symmetry to it. Asymmetrical is, I'm down with the asymmetry. I'm
I'm
100%.
just I'm just loving it. I mean, I love this project just as the chains,
Yeah.
but as you're auditioning each strand that you're adding, it really gives it a whole new character. I'm really over the moon with it. I love it.
I think I love these guys hanging right on top of the gold.
Mhm.
To me,
Mhm.
this gives it just shows it off really well. It makes
Mhm.
those
Agreed.
dots of color kind of float in the gold. And I think this has the most appeal for me with this added on strand. This would be kind of the way I would do it if it were
Mhm.
my own necklace, my own choice. I do
Mhm.
think these guys need to hang below. I just got done saying bib things are not my jam, and here
Mhm.
I am setting up one. I think this needs to hang at the bottom of these chains because I think these guys get lost. And this
Mhm.
could also be a place where I know this is going to rock some worlds here. I might mix my colors of metal.
100%.
So metal mixing it's very controversial. I run into customers who say, I only wear gold or I only wear silver or I really like copper, but it doesn't really go with other things. You know what? All the metals go with each other. I think we need to get away from that idea of you can only wear a warm or a cool metal. And I think you need to mix your metals. I think that's where we need to be going with this. You
Yeah,
know,
I agree.
back in 2008 or so when the metals market went bananas and we all had to accept that silver and gold were really going to be out of reach for a while. I think we all accepted that, bronze, copper, brass, they were all these really awesome colors that we shouldn't forget and we shouldn't walk away
Yeah.
from. And certainly plated metals, plated in this country, tend to hold up really well these days compared to what we used to see when you would buy something and it was inexpensive and the metal wore off immediately.
Yeah,
Um,
that's not the case any longer.
Not any longer. It's really not as bad as it used to be. Now,
Mhm.
plated metals, the secret to keeping metals from not tarnishing or not wearing poorly is to keep them dry. So this is not the necklace that you're going to wear in the pool. This is not the necklace that you're going to wear like out mowing the lawn. If you're
Right.
getting all sweaty, if it got wet, you forgot and stepped into the shower, it would be fine. But on a regular basis, keeping it dry, and this goes for silver, sterling silver as well. Keeping it dry helps keep it clean and would keep that
Mhm.
plating and that color as you started with. Um, this is not a chain we'd ever have to polish. It's going to stay like this until it does.
Mhm.
So these plated chains are so much better quality than they used to be. So I think if it were me, this dangling bit would have to hang at the bottom. I think that's
Yeah, it's really great.
where it kind of
So,
showed itself off.
Are you gonna talk about the mechanics? I know that you talked a little bit about the chains attaching to the jump ring,
Absolutely.
and there's 3 sections, but
Yep.
I know that people would also benefit, and I don't wanna jump the gun with it, um, but I know people would really benefit seeing which chains you choose to put together on,
Yep.
the jump rings, etcetera.
Yep. So this is my last auditioning strand. I think this one also
Was.
kind of needs to lay on top of the chains. So I didn't really come up with one that really needs to go up above. I think
Mhm.
this needs to lay in the chains like the ruby one does. I think
Whoops,
that
you're looking at
would
me,
be my
sorry. Sorry, I had my cup here. Hang on,
oh,
let
that's all
me
right. I think this would be my jam, and this would be the way that I did this. You know, um, for my own making a necklace for myself. You know,
Mhm.
I think that would be my preference. So I absolutely want to show you how I want to attach chains and how I use jump rings. And if we have time, which I hope we do, I think we have a little bit of time. I
We
want to
always have
show
time, Emily, for your pearls of wisdom.
how, I want to show you how I do wire wrapping too, because
Mhm.
wire wrapping is a learned skill. It is it's the same skill that you need when you are making pancakes or you're cooking something that you have to kind of pay attention to. It takes a little while to get comfortable with it and to be able to sort of do it in every circumstance. And there's only one way to get to that style, that way. That is to So you have to practice it. And nobody really likes the word practice unless we're talking about law or medicine, but you have to do a little bit of practicing to get good at wire wrapping. So let me talk to you about jump rings first. And I actually want to jump into these shadow jump rings because I just think they're the super cutest. And I'm super excited to buy them. And I love that Kate and I were absolutely on the same
I
plan.
do too. You know, Emily and I often share the same jewelry making brain, thank goodness. Sometimes I just look at something and I go, what would Emily do here?
Anytime you're going to be opening and closing jump rings, you need 2 pairs of pliers. And it can be 2 regular chain nose, 2 flat, straight ahead tips, or 2 bent chain nose and a straight flat one. Either way, when I'm doing wire wrapping, I really only use these, but you could use the bent ones as you like as well. I do like these German made. These are very nice pliers, and they're kind of a lifetime plier. You're not going to damage these or not be able to use them for the rest of your life. You're going to have them forever. And I think they're just a great quality of plier to kind of start with. Less expensive pliers tend to have kind of rough edges around the openings. Sometimes the tips are not as fine. These are quite narrow at the tips, which are super important and helpful. But having that bent chain nose, I think it's really helpful. It's not 100% necessary, but it is definitely helpful if you find yourself working often with jump rings, and you probably will at some point. So I made these little dangles. I'm just going to get it in my fingertips so that I can hold it up here. So it's 3. These are the regular shadows on a 6mm 18 gauge jump ring with a second jump ring to hold it up together. So this is exactly the same as these gold ones are, except that jump ring's a little smaller. So one of the things that you can do with jump rings, and you can think about this, is the more connection you put in the jump ring, the sturdier it is. One thing I do sometimes when I'm ending a chain with a jump ring, and I worry a little bit about that opening of the jump ring, is I'll actually put 2 jump rings in one. And that double jump ring will help when it gets pulled on, that it's not pulling directly on the opening of the jump ring. So this one that has the shadows on it, the opening is underneath the shadow someplace. And it's pretty safe and pretty sturdy. Under enough force, it would pull out. This one above here, go around and find it, is an open jump ring. There's the opening, right? So we can open it, close it, and attach it to something. If I use 2 jump rings in that position, I would have a very sturdy finished piece. It would be very hard for that to actually fail and come apart. So jump rings sometimes give people a little bit of pause. They're a little concerned that that open link can come undone. And if you're selling things like I do, that definitely comes into a factor for me. I tend to shoot for the smallest jump ring I can get away with to the smallest outside diameter, which also means the inside diameter is smaller, and the heaviest gauge that I can get away with. So 14, 18, 16, 14 gauge even. Those jump rings are a little stronger because they're thicker. If I can't use a very thick jump ring, I don't have one or it won't fit, sometimes I can use 2 jump rings together, and that gives a very secure connection. So to make these little guys and to do all of the joining that I did in this necklace, all of the connections with jump rings, I used 2 chain nose pliers to open the jump ring. You know what? Let me move this out of the back so the background is a little bit plain.
Yeah, and yeah, there you go. I was just going to ask. I know that it's hard to put the camera down.
Oh,
Yeah, perf. There we go. That's even better. That's perfect,
okay.
Em.
I just didn't
Thank
want to run out of. You need a little
Yeah,
elbow room underneath that
I
plier.
know. We need a little real estate. I know.
So I'm going to grab. I'm right-handed, and I tend to use my grasping plier, whatever I'm going to hold on to, in my right hand, and I do that kind of particularly because I can feel the grip that I'm making a little better, a little more efficiently, and I know that I'm not going to mar this ring. So one thing that you want to avoid, let me show you a no-no before we get on to this.
Mhm.
You want to avoid using a round nose plier to grasp the jump ring. And here's why. I'll show you. And I've showed you this on wire before. Let's just say I go in here and I grab a hold of this. One, I'm not really grabbing with very much connection, contact with that plier. But as I grab and open my jump ring, I'm putting a little dent in
I can see that dent from
from
200 miles
Fresno,
away. Yeah, I
right?
can.
Right.
Look at
So
that.
the dent is bad on a couple points. Because we're compressing the metal there, we're making it stiffer, which means it's a place where it is weaker at this point. You're also perhaps breaking the plating, so the plating may chip at that point. So there's no good reason to use the round nose plier in that position. Never do that. Never use your round nose plier to hold on to things while you're moving it with your chain nose plier. You'll always over grip, and that will damage your materials. I often look on Etsy or other places at jewelry, and I see tool marks on jewelry, and it makes me grit my teeth a little bit.
100, and especially, Emily, in the old days in the magazines,
Oh,
when they'd photograph and the wire wrap was diagonal or
ugly.
the jump ring wasn't closed.
Yeah.
Oh, it'll send me over.
Yeah, I know. I know. You're like, really? There's not a little Photoshop? We didn't have like 10 minutes of Photoshop to fix that, so we didn't have to look at it.
Right?
You professionals, you. So I'm going to use my chain nose plier to grip, and I'm going to grip right, pointing right at that opening. I'm going to grab it with my bent chain nose, and I'm going to twist that ring open. So can you see how it's twisted across the opening? Right? I haven't pulled it apart this way, because if you pull it open like a letter C, you will never get it closed and round again. You just throw that one away. Okay? Don't even bother to save it. And in fact, this one needs to be just a little bit more open because I'm going to slide some shadows on it. So I find that if I continue to hold the ring in my plier, it's like a better, stronger grip of fingertips. It's just so much nicer, right? And I'm even making this more difficult on myself by refusing to put down those pliers.
Right. That's right.
Stubborn is my middle name. So now I'm going to go to holding this in the smallest way possible I can with these chain nose pliers. And here's a little trick that I just discovered. This actually works pretty well, and you don't have to worry about this too much. I'm actually going to grip on the outside of the shadow, and I'm going to pull my opening closed. I went a little far. That's okay. I'm going to close it up. So there's my dangle. How nice
Oh,
is that?
it's so not. I'm
How come
like,
we haven't
Emily,
been
that's
doing
great
this on?
idea. It's so good.
How
And
come we haven't been
people,
doing this on every shadow? I
I know,
mean,
on every shadow.
I think we need to make one. We need to make a sample with every size of shadow,
Yeah.
all the sizes, up to the
And
giant ones.
you know what we could also do with those, Emily? You could put them on the jump rings like that and then line them up on a head pin.
Oh yeah, so they
Wouldn't
kind of
that be
hang
good?
out to the
With a
side.
little bead? Yeah, or with a little bead in between
Yeah.
or not or whatever. People are also commenting that you're using the old school red pliers, which we have been using at Beadshop since day one, since
Oh yeah.
1982.
Yeah.
People are saying that they've just changed over to the red and how much they love them. There's so many pliers out there, so many, and everyone has their favorites, but I keep coming back to these old school German red-handled pliers.
These
Um,
also make a really nice traveling plier because they
they
are kind of
do.
small. I mean, I can show you my fancy $60 pliers. They're almost
Mhm.
twice the size in length.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
if I'm gonna go somewhere, like I never go on vacation without a project with me. Come on. I don't
Eh,
go to
eh,
Tucson without a project. It never gets touched. I don't ever go
no,
without
no,
it.
you never I didn't touch my loomed project at all, but
I
darn it,
touched
I had
the
it
project,
with
and
me.
did I open it, even look at it? Not once.
No, no.
I was
Was it
exhausted
there?
every night. But did I
Was
have
it
it?
my security project?
Yes, I had it with me. What's the matter with us? So they're actually kind of nice for travel. They're small, but they're really nice quality. Their price is really great. $20 ish.
Yeah.
So really super affordable, and a nice plier. So I'm gonna close up my ring here. Let me just come up a little closer so you can kind of see what I'm gonna do here. So when you close up a jump ring, again, we're not going to pull this in the letter C shape or do the opposite either. I'm going to close it, and I like to come to like touch one another. Did you hear the little click?
Yeah, I did.
There was a little click when they passed one another by, and I'm going to wiggle it just past itself a couple times and then come back to completely closed, right? And if you have to give it another little love, that's okay too. Better. So I like to run my finger over it because I can feel that it's completely shut. There is a danger here that one would like to do this to your jump rings.
Oh, yeah, that's a slippery slope.
And I'm not going to say that there isn't a time, very rarely, when it's appropriate.
Agreed.
For the most part, gripping the ring on the outside means you're going to collapse that ring. And it's just going to mean you're going to have to start over,
Yeah.
which isn't the end of the world. If you need to experience that for yourself, go for it. But a jump ring, once it's made, opened, and closed, you really don't want to grab it on the outside and attempt to squish it shut. It's not going to go well. So don't do it, right? Just break yourself of that habit, and really down the road, you might find that you need to do that occasionally. It's going to come up in metalsmithing just now and again.
Yeah, and with the
Really,
heavier
most of the
gauge,
time, not.
with the heavier gauge that you're using there, Emily, it has a lesser tendency to collapse like
Sure.
that. But
Yes.
if you're doing that on skinny gauge jump rings,
It's over.
it is over, 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 over.
Game over. Game over. Do you want me to make one more of those?
Yeah, and then we're going to attach those to chain, and
Absolutely.
then you're going to talk about putting chain together
Yep.
in bundles.
Yep.
Bundling.
Yep. Absolutely.
This is so good. I'm learning so much, Em.
You are not Kate Richards.
Okay, well, all right then. But I am.
You're
For
being
sure.
silly.
No, I get reinvigorated. I'm looking at this going, oh yeah, that's right. You know how it is.
I am totally jazzed now by doing all the sizes. I think we're gonna have to make some massive jump rings. Although you know what we can use.
We carry the 8mm and we carry the big ones.
I think we're gonna need a bigger one than that. If we're gonna do the queen shadows and the king shadows,
Oh, yeah, true enough.
I think we need to
True
do
enough.
all of them. But we might be able to sacrifice a chain. Maybe we don't have a chain that's big enough. But
You could do like a big wire wrapped loop too and slide them on the bottom of the wire wrap loop.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Maybe I'm gonna do one of those today too. So when you're using
how we are?
yeah, when you're using these bent nose pliers, you can flip them around.
Oh, look at how it gets
You
right.
the ultimate of grip close to the opening, right?
Yeah. Little pinchy fingers.
Right. But when I'm doing this, that's kind of the wrong side. So I'm gonna flip them over. So I have a lot of gripping ability. Much easier. They're like your fingertips, only better.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
So there's a reason that the shadow line is my favorite bead. It just is.
It's a really good bead. There's no doubt in my mind that it's a really good bead. I'm going to attach these to some chain just for kicks and grins.
Okay.
And this is sort of a long and short or a Figaro style chain.
So pretty.
There's a couple of options we could have for attaching to this chain. And I got to tell you, I think these small rings in the middle are too small. So I'm going to go with these guys. If we were working with this guy, we could potentially use these bigger rings in the middle.
Hmm.
But there's another thing to think about with chain, and chain kind of has sides to it. And I know this is so esoteric, but this is part of the chain. The chain. It's part of the chain physics. I suppose this is actually physics. So the chain has both a kind of an upside and a flat side, or a front side and a back side, or a north south and an east west. I would like to hang from here, this link right here, so that when this chain hangs in a graceful arc, that ring has lots of room to move. But it also means that it's hanging interconnected to one another like that.
Right.
So
And it's on the south position, right?
right, I have a link that is flat to me, and I have to attach something here, right? Because I want it to hang down. If I had something that
Hmm.
was a ring that was this way and I attached to it, it would be off to the side. So this takes a little bit of time to kind of do yourself. You have to be kind of paying attention. And this is again when your chain nose pliers are your new best friends, right? I'm gonna pick this
It
up in
is
my
great.
plier. I'm gonna open it up and I'm gonna pick a spot in the chain and I'm gonna attach to it and close it up. And this first one is kind of a free one. After that, you have to pay a little bit more attention. So I want this to hang this way. And I like to think of this as kind of having an odd number of things. So this ring that's holding the shadows is flat, east west. The link in the chain is east west, right? And the jump ring has to be north south to make this hang correctly. If I go to this next link and I hang something from this link, it's going to hang to the front of this instead of from the bottom. So if I want to move along on a few links over, actually this Figaro was a little bit of a cheat chain because it's almost impossible to mess it up. I'm going to move over a few links and I'm going to use this next one, same shape link, super easy to see, right? And I find the easiest thing to do when I'm decorating a chain like this is actually put the center in and work left, right, all the way across. That way I get something that's kind of symmetrical and it hangs all on the same edge. If my chain links were all the same, I would have to pay even more attention to this, but they're actually, because it's this Figaro chain, it actually gives me it's a little bit of a cheat code here. Right?
Oh, that just looks great.
Right? It hangs really nicely. Now this looks uneven because this guy's hanging more towards the inside, but if I push him over,
Mhm.
then we're gonna look more even. So pretty. Oh my god, I like those shadows on the jump ring
I
so
do
much.
too. And those you're
Killing me.
still working are those the regular shadows, Em?
Yes, these are the
These
regular
are
ones.
regular so and the little shadows are on the chain above
Right, in the gold.
Emily right there. Are you using the same jump ring?
No, this is a 6 millimeter 18
Okay.
gauge. That's a
Okay.
5 millimeter 18 gauge. So
Okay,
feels like
gotcha.
it wouldn't make that much difference, right?
Right, but it does.
It does. I think if I had in a perfect world, I would use a 5 millimeter and a 6 millimeter. So
Mhm.
I would make that connection link be a little smaller, a
A
little
little
more
smaller, yeah.
discreet. Oh, wait, hold on.
Mhm.
What's this right here? Let's
5
let's
mil?
let's compare and contrast
Yeah, let's do it.
because I have them.
And
So
just someone's commenting, Ginny. There we go. Ginny's saying, "Where's Kate?" Ginny, I'm here. It's Dria's that away, and I'm glad that you refreshed, so we're all on the same page. Perfect.
excellent. So this is a 5 millimeter,
Yeah, it's a
5.5
little
millimeter,
smaller. Hmm.
16 gauge ring, right?
That
So
is that's my favorite ring.
is that your favorite ring?
That's my favorite.
I'm going to add that to the chain over here. So I
Yes.
swapped out the ring that was hanging, the connection ring, for a smaller one. And that may make me even happier. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So
It
it's a
tightens it
small
up.
change.
Yeah, but
So
it
look
it
how,
tightens it up just a hair, huh?
yep. See,
Yeah.
that 6 millimeter ring is too big where it connects to
Mhm.
the chain. I would go for that 5.5 millimeter, which is
Yeah.
a half a millimeter smaller on the outside dimension. But it's heavier gauge, so it looks a
Mhm.
little denser, and it kind of pulls it up closer to the chain. I know this
Mhm.
feels like maybe this is like a super small detail, but I do think that looks better, and I'm more down with that change.
Well, and that's also, folks, when you are refining your jewelry technique, and even when Emily lays it down on the the board there, can you see how the one on the left is a little closer to the chain? The one on the right is a little further down. And that's where you start to refine your design eye. Like Emily and I always say, you do you. So if you like a little bit more of the air underneath, great. But I fall into the camp with Emily. I like it a little tighter, so it looks like it's more all one component, if that
Yeah,
makes sense.
yeah, absolutely,
You
absolutely.
know,
Yep,
really fantastic. Great tip, Emily.
right.
Have a variety of jump rings in your stash, friends,
Oh
so
yeah,
you can play around with this.
and I've been trying to be very good about keeping labels on the bags they come in. I know we need to have a whole storage. Someday we don't have anything to put up, Kate. We need to do a whole thing about storage.
Yeah, you and I have a couple of. I want you to talk about display. We do need to talk about storage. There's
Yeah.
so much we do.
I'm really excited that and I'm gonna reach behind me and slick out a bag out of my bag drawer, my bag organizer. This is a particular Ziploc bag that I have found that changed my life.
Mhm, that's Emily's favorite bag.
This is my favorite bag.
It's
This is
true.
a it's not a 4x6, it's a 6x4. It's super important because this is almost the same size as the inside of a shoebox. So when I put them in, they stand up like a file
In a shoebox, Emily, is
in
that
a
what you
shoebox.
said?
In a standard plastic shoebox, I get the really inexpensive
Oh,
ones
right,
from the
right.
Container Store. But this 6x4 is the jam. And what's nice about it is I can load it up with all my jump rings or all my shadows or my chain. And so when I close it, it fits all those little bags inside. It stands up in the box. So I write on the top of it what it is, and I can file through the box with
That's
that.
what when Emily and I, when we worked for our buddy Jess at Jess Imports, Jess had a ton of charms. And it was always, we were in a constant battle
Oh,
of organization. But
yep.
that's what Emily did. She got the regular plastic shoe boxes and she labeled everything on the top, across the top like that. And we were really able to flip and find the number, because they all had a skew and we put them in alphanumerical order. It really worked out well. But yeah, it's still a tip that I use today, Emily, because you ordered some and I still have some.
Here's another just reaching way over to my pencil box to grab a Sharpie.
Mhm.
And for love of Mike, do I not have a big Sharpie? Here we go. The other tip, this was a hard one tip, and it took me a while to figure this out. You actually don't want to write right here. You want to
Mhm.
write over here or over here. Because right here is where you use your thumbs and fingers to open the bag, and that wears
Right.
out. So you want to put jump rings. You can put GP for gold plated, and that way you don't wear out the
Mhm.
writing as you open and close the bag over and over again.
That's that was worth the price of admission today.
Right there, right? That's what gets me the big bucks, is that I can tell you where to write on that bag so that you don't have to do it a million times. Right? So
Very,
jump
very clever.
rings, right? Jump rings. jump rings here as well,
Mm-hmm.
right? Attaching. These are soldered jump rings. So as a standard for our business, jewelry making businesses, if it says jump ring, it means it's openable. If it says soldered jump
Mm-hmm.
ring, it's soldered shut. It's a closed solid link. I actually made those
Mm-hmm.
closed solid links out of endless love chain. I had a little bit left
Nice.
over, a few inches, and I cut every other link. It's a little wasteful, but it gets you something that you can't buy,
Mm-hmm.
right? Can't buy those rings. Can't buy these links either, right? We could open those up and have all those links. Can't buy those. You can only get them as chain. Probably can't buy these components either, but we can open them up and use them. So it's quite okay to cut chain down into its component pieces if it can't be opened, so that you have those components to play around with and work with. Like these components would look awesome hanging in this position on a chain.
Yeah, I love those. And Janice just put up,
Right?
Dawn had asked, is Jess still selling? She sure is.
Yeah,
And Janice just put up Jess's. You can find her at jessvintage.com. You can also follow her on her Insta at Jess Vintage. She's still doing some fantastic things. So go over and give our friend Jessie some love.
absolutely. And Trudy, you're right about the commercial Sharpie ink lasting longer. Can I show you one more trick about
Do
Sharpie
it.
ink in plastic bags? So one of Kate and my favorite items in our world are pro polish pads.
100%.
These little polishing squares. If you want to get Sharpie off a bag, the pro polish square will actually help you erase it off. Did you know that, Kate?
Yeah, and then you can save your old ones.
Yeah, you can reuse these. Let's say your things change. You can take that label right off it,
So smart, Emily.
and that's a bead store trick, baubles and bead store
That
trick
is.
right there.
Yeah.
So I can reuse this bag, but yeah,
You can also use like a little alcohol wipe.
yeah. But these we have right
But
now.
those we always have. I know. I always have one of those old ones kicking around.
So these guys
Fantastic.
wire wrapped, and I made a little pattern by wire wrapping 3 beads, then a ring, then a single bead, then a ring, then 3 more beads. So you can absolutely make your own chain this way.
Yeah, it's
You
really
can have
pretty.
a whole grouping of just these chains, right? We could certainly make our own, and it would be luscious, glorious, and amazing to have all of these kind of chains up here in this position, right? Nothing but bead chains.
Right. Gorgeous.
Right, it would be gorgeous, and it could just be every color or all one color. It would be very luscious and delicious, right? So links of chain never go to waste. Never throw out, here's a little bit of endless love right here. Never
Mhm.
throw out a small piece that you look at it and you go, I can't
Mhm.
make anything out of that. Actually, I can make earrings. I can make a pair of earrings
Mhm.
out of this pretty quickly. And if I used only part of it and made a couple of dangly earrings, I'd still have this little chunk right here, which would
Right,
be
that you can get
perfect
your soldered
for your
rings out of.
soldered rings or an extender for a
Mhm.
clasp, right?
Exactly.
Perfect chain. So again, picking out a couple feet of chain when you buy it, I think it makes it totally worthwhile. This is probably the leftover from 2 feet of chain. Let's. I kept my measuring tape right here because I thought, I bet that's what that is. Yep, that's the leftover from a 2 foot long piece of chain. Right? I cut off one
Mhm.
link. There's the rest of it. Yeah, 6 inches
That's
worth.
great.
Not quite
6 inches.
chain, but perfect for this sort of style necklace or for using in all these other positions.
So, Em, will you bundle? We're getting close to our time,
Yep.
but um,
Here's my bundles of chain,
mhm.
and I really picked chains to be slightly different and put them together in the jump rings. And these bundles, I can take off and show you. Hold on a sec. Let me find the. It's good that I can't find the ring.
Yeah, I mean, it really. I for a second thought you would wire wrap them, but you only used
I only use
jump rings. They really blend perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, this is beauty of getting your jump rings and your chain all from the same source.
Mhm.
Everybody's gonna match,
Mhm.
right? Ah, not enough.
And that paper clip that you've used, that's the large paper clip there. One of
Oh my
my
god,
favorites.
large paper clip chain is
When I make
die
chain,
for it.
and I don't make chain as often as I used to, but
Yeah.
paper clip chain is just such a joy to make, but using it in any style, in any necklace is so fun.
So one thing I kind of think is another way to get the look of something that's haphazard but is really quite planned is to try not to put two things that are exactly the same side by side.
Mhm.
So these two figuros are exactly the same but different sizes.
Mhm.
I've got this very delicate chain, and you're gonna have to excuse me because I don't know any of the names of any of these guys. And then
That's
this
the, I'll have to look.
okay.
I don't know either.
I should have laid out all the names right in front of me, and I didn't do
I
it.
know. We've got so many. I'll look it up for you, Emily.
Right. And then there's the narrower paper clip. So when you mix your chains together to get the casual, purposeful chaos, think about putting chains that don't match together. That way, your mix will look more haphazard, but you know it is quite planned. So that's that guy.
Circle back.
Is that one called Circle Back? That little one?
Mhm.
Okay.
The little one is circle back.
And I also planned to put my chains on in also a non, uh, a planned chaos way. I attach them to my side chains. So these are my textured chains in the front, my pendant chains. I attach them to my side chains by doing it a medium group, a large group, and then the small group.
That
So
makes
again,
sense.
I gave myself some planned chaos. I'm just gonna close this up so my chains don't fall off.
Mhm. And which jump ring, Emily? You might have mentioned it and I might have missed it. Are you
This,
using
I
the
believe,
5.5
I think this is the,
or is that the 6?
no, hold on. It's not the 6, it's a 5.
5. Okay. That's why it blends in so nicely.
Yeah.
4.
Wait, 4. Sorry,
Oh,
4.
okay.
So that's a
Even
4
better.
millimeter 18 gauge.
18
So
gauge.
having that nice tight opening, in other words, the chains are filling up the void
Mhm.
inside, means that there's much less chance of this chain pulling through any of
Mhm.
these openings. Okay. So I've
Very
got
nice.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chains. Again, a little bit of planned chaos, right? Chains that are unlike one another sitting next to each other. And the last grouping, open that up, close them up so things don't fall off.
Yeah.
And then we're look at these guys. So that nice dense Rolo, another Figaro, and Endless Love one
Mhm.
together.
Very nice.
The matte gold just makes me super happy, I gotta
It
say.
really looks nice. I've been using kind of the matte and the shiny gold a little bit more, and I like the sparkle that it adds to projects for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, yep. It's just very elegant and gosh. So again, to reverse, I would just go ahead and put all 3 back on that chain, and I could add anything I wanted.
And do you put them on, Emily, in order? So let's say that first bundle,
Yep,
is it on the top?
they're gonna be on the same order, although this
Okay.
because the side chains will open, they're
Mhm.
gonna get
We're
moved
gonna move around a little
around.
bit.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not gonna be in the same sort of pattern,
Gotcha. Okay.
right? Yeah. So those bundles are all separate.
But look at how beautifully how it comes off the bottom of that paper clip chain. That would also make just a really fantastic chain tassel
It would.
that way,
Although
right?
I got to tell you, if it were me, I would want a denser ring there.
Yeah,
I
true.
would want
But
something a
and you
little
could also put it in the cap, like we've got those new nun caps.
Yep. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
But
I was so I really liked what the earring that you did. Was it last Friday that the tassel earring you did with the new findings?
oh, thanks. I was pretty happy with my own
I thought
self.
that came out really, really well. I got to tell you, I was a little skeptical of those findings when they first came to us. I thought, I don't know.
I'll agree. I was like, well, we'll see, Danielle
You know,
Wicks.
and Danielle, she knocked it out of the park for sure.
Oh,
It's
for
definitely
sure.
um, a winner for
And those just got restocked if you're waiting for them. I know we
oh,
sold out so quickly,
that's
but
good.
we've got them.
I saw they were sold out. I think I
We've
checked
got
in
them
the
now.
next day and I was like, "Oh my god, they're all gone."
They're gone.
Cool. You guys like it?
It's
I
so
think it comes together
fantastic,
pretty well.
Really great. Really, really great.
I thought I would
Um,
put this guy back together and then I'm going to add one of my
okay.
chains that
I'm
I
just
made.
looking for some, if there's any other questions here. Let's see, did I just get, no, that I got a text on my watch, but it's no one I need to talk to. Um,
That's excellent.
excellent. It's when you wear your Apple Watch and you get all of your notifications, um, you get notified of advertisements right on your wrist.
Oh god. I wanted an Apple Watch for a minute and then I thought, "Oh, you know what? I don't really need that." And I I have all my notifications pretty much silenced. I don't really get any notifications at all.
Yeah,
Um,
no, I love it because when I text you, it always says, Emily has notifications silenced.
yeah.
I love it. I love
And of course my sisters will text me and they're going, "Are you working?" I'm like, "No,
it.
your notification silence is on." I'm like, "Well, yeah, sorry. Don't take it
Well,
personally."
I have it, uh,
It's really
just
great for
so
working out and for
it is
exercise.
for walking, and
Yeah,
if I am waiting for an email or something, I'll get that notification on my
yeah.
watch, but I'm also good at ignoring it, so,
I think I
but it
wanna put, this little shadow strand
oh,
on
let's do it.
because
It
I
also tells you when you fall, notifies someone in an emergency if you
oh, yeah.
fall.
It notifies your emergency contact, your in
That's
case of
right,
emergency. Yeah.
which has happened. I have fallen out on my walk.
Have
I
you
don't
really?
wanna
Oh, I'm
admit it.
so sorry.
No, it was my own fault after rain, and I stepped in a puddle, and Fresno is warm, so puddles get kind of treacherous and slimy, and I stepped right into it and landed right on my booty. I was
Yeah,
fine.
I have a couple of spots where,
I have a
here
lot
in
of padding back there, so I'm
my
alright.
complex where I have to watch out because the trees are
Yeah.
so heavy that the sidewalk gets mossy, and,
Yeah.
um, I have to power wash a couple places. Actually, I have to do it again soon here because it's, mossy again.
Yeah, I telling you, I spend my whole life trying not to fall now, but I'm getting there. Keep walking, people, that's why.
Oh,
Keep
yeah,
walking,
that's right.
and I know you do too.
I gotta
Use it
show
or
you
lose
my
it.
new, reverse squat that I just learned how to do the other day.
Oh gosh, alright.
And you're gonna love it because it's not like a regular. It's a reverse lunge. Sorry,
Oh,
not reverse
nice.
squat.
I love it.
And I hate doing lunges because it hurts my knees, but this one does not hurt my knees.
Oh, nice.
So there's it with the little
That
shadow.
looks beautiful.
I just
You know,
love.
I just love the opulence of this, and you could stack more than one extra like that, plus the little ruby, dangles.
I mean, we could go all in, and have it
Yeah,
all
we
in,
could go all in. Look at how pretty that looks, just
right?
gorgeous.
I
I'll
do think
also
this
tell
has that quiet elegance to it,
yeah,
and
screenshot time, everybody, screenshot time.
yeah.
Also, Emily, periodically, I practice getting up off the floor to make
Oh
sure that
yeah,
I still can.
yeah, yeah, yep. I do that. I always put my pants on one leg at a time, standing up, so I'm balancing.
That's right, get that balance, keep it going. Keep it going.
Yeah,
Gosh, that looks gorgeous. I love it. I love it.
good fun.
Everybody loved this stream. It's really gorgeous. I'm gonna put us back up, and I'll talk
Good.
about the coupon codes. I'll talk about some things. I also have something, Emily, to show you. I don't know if you saw some rustling. This has nothing to do with Beadshop, other than I finally moved my, as you folks know, my studio. I'll have some time to do some metal work.
Mhm.
I'm thinking about coming up with some things that we're going to be getting cast, which is very exciting.
Nice. Good.
And from my buddy, Kevin Potter,
Uh-oh.
you and I have been to Potter USA. This is
Couple
usually
times.
where my hydraulic press sits, but now it's in my other studio. Emily, look at this die I just got. Do you know what
Oh,
that is,
neat.
Emily?
It's a
It's a
walnut.
it's a walnut, Emily Miller. As soon as I get back to it.
I love that idea. So, just for context, so everybody knows what we're talking about.
I
My
mean, we're having a little bit of personal chatting time
Oh,
right there.
at the end too. I grew up on a walnut ranch. My grandfather and my dad and my mom, my parents were actually on their honeymoon, planted acreage with walnut trees. And my grandfather was going to be, this was going to be his retirement entertainment, his farming. And walnut trees in Lake County, where this was, it's a very good place for it. The high Mediterranean climate, not a lot of insect bugs that you have to worry about. And so, as a kid growing up, when my parents retired, that was their work was growing walnuts, organic walnuts. And so I have a collection of walnut things, and I should get out my one that Jessica gave me. I have a Georgian one that she bought me that's really beautiful. That's a sterling silver walnut. And I have multiple ceramic walnuts, metal walnuts, lots of nuts. Um,
Lots of nuts. Stop,
uh,
stop
when we
naming
when we moved
nuts.
away, I actually had to leave the concrete walnut because it was too heavy.
Oh,
But we
right.
had a big concrete walnut that was like that big, in the
I
backyard.
love it. I
And
love
so I have a thing
it.
for walnuts, and we we would say in our family, nuts. Every family has one, um, but walnuts are kind of one of my touchstone things. I am
I love
super
them.
excited about that, Kate. I cannot wait to see it. I need a three-dimensional walnut. Thank you very much.
I know
And
you do.
so put your skills to work. I have some baby walnuts that I wanted to cast, and so
Yes.
when you harvest walnuts, you grade them. You have a large bin that's 4 feet square or 5 feet square by about 3 feet tall, and there'll be a guy that would come to your farm, and they'll scoop up a bunch of walnuts, and they have a plate with holes in it, and they put them through the holes, and they count how many are different sizes. And then there's peewees, what we used to call
Mhm.
peewees, which were tiny little walnuts that undeveloped. And though you didn't want to have those in your grade because it would not you'd not get as much money for your nuts. But yeah, that's really cool, Kate. I'm super
Yeah,
excited.
no, I love it. We had walnut trees. Oh, I was gonna say, my mom just put it up. My mom and I share a brain. My granddad, he did plant a whole 25 acres of black walnuts, and he grafted all of them into English walnuts.
Of course. Well, black walnuts, they use a lot for the rootstock because it's a lot more disease resistant.
Mhm.
So we had a guy that would come and graft occasionally for us, and my mom would say he's sort of shifty eyed, so they called him the shifty eyed grafter.
That's
And
hilarious.
so grafting is they cut the tree off. It's violent. They cut the tree off about five. Well, it depends on the style. It can be
Yeah.
3 to 5 or 8 feet off the ground, and then they drill holes in that stump, and they put other kinds of tree in that stump, and then they grow out the top. And
Go
so
out, yeah.
English walnuts usually have, which are the kind we mostly eat, usually have a black walnut base. So
Mhm.
there's rough bark, and then it transitions to smooth bark. And yeah, the shifty-eyed grafter. I don't remember his name. Good, probably a good thing. But he would come and graft for us, and my mom would say, "Oh, the shifty-eyed grafter's coming."
Oh, that's hilarious. Well, my grandpa was a very gifted grafter. He
Yeah,
grafted
yeah,
all of
yeah.
the trees in our yard, and that's we both have deep agricultural roots for
Yeah.
sure.
Well,
Well,
and near where I grew up, it was very small town, and almost everybody was in the agriculture business. So pears, walnuts, grapes, kiwi. There was any number of it. But in the summer, at the end of the summer, the pear season happens, and you guys remember Pear Festival,
yes,
and
Pear
that
Festival. That
is
was
happening in September.
mhm.
And the pear harvest would actually delay the opening of school sometimes because they needed the kids to work in the pear sheds. They needed
Prune
everybody
harvest for
to be,
us, Santa Clara County prunes.
right?
Yeah,
And walnuts came after that in October. And when you pick up walnuts, unless you wear rubber gloves, the hull on the outside of the walnut stains your hands. It's brown
yep,
dye. And you could always tell at school whose family had walnuts because your hands were stained. And so, and it has to literally wear off or grow out of your nails. So it's for months you have
yeah.
this thing.
It's because you can also use walnut husks to dye fabric. You get a really
I have
beautiful.
done that. In
I
fact,
know you have.
I have some yarn that we dyed with black walnut leaves. So we cooked it and cooked it and cooked it and made beautiful kind of dark brown with a little bit of a hint
Yeah,
of green kind of dye. It's
yeah,
very pretty.
so
You
gorgeous.
can make ink
We
with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's such a beautiful color. My gran would pick. We had walnut trees on our property, and my gran would pick the walnuts, and we would husk them, and we'd bring them to the dehydrator. And it wasn't that much, but it was some. And
Yeah.
the money that my grandpa would say, Rose, you can keep the money. You can keep the walnut money. And she would go and buy herself a ring every year with the walnut money. So I think I've told you this before, Emily. So Gran would take the walnut money and go buy herself a ring. She would save that up, her pin money. I know where I could picture her in the Gilroy house. She'd roll it up, put it in the teacup. The teacup was way in the back of one of the cupboards because God forbid someone steal $50. But
Well,
that's where it was.
I used to
Love
get
it.
50 cents a bucket. So 5-gallon bucket, 50 cents a bucket when I was in like grade school before I could drive because I wasn't strong enough as a young person, little person to do a lot of the lifting. So I was relegated to picking and sorting. And so I would get 50 cents a bucket. It took 3 buckets to fill up a sack. That was a lot of work for 50 cents.
And those sacks, those frickin'
Burlap sack.
burlap sacks, they were just so hard on my hand.
I
Yeah.
know.
And then
I
you
know.
had
And
to
you
sew
stand
them.
them under the
You had to
tree.
sew them closed. You
Yep.
stitch them closed with the big curved needle that was on the wall in the barn. Anyway.
I have the needle that my grandparents used to sew those buckets, those bags shut. And I have my grandfather's hand truck, his little dolly. That
Oh.
is all metal. Even the wheels that land, it goes, when you move it
Yeah.
around. I can't let go of it now. It's terrible.
Yep. No. Well, my granddad, he would shell the walnuts all winter. He
Yep.
would put them in little mason jars, and everybody would have their walnuts to make fudge. It's for sure. It's for
When
sure.
Before my parents retired, before we moved to Lake County, we lived on the East Coast. And so when the harvest, my uncle would take care of the harvest for us and run the nuts through the huller and the dehydrator. And he would bag up a gunny sack and sew it shut. And they would put it on a Greyhound bus. That was the cheapest way to get it to the East Coast. And we would have to go to the Greyhound station and pick it up. And there would always be a hole in it and a few
Right.
nuts gone from it. But that's how we got them for years on the East Coast. Was we got them through the Greyhound.
Got them from the Greyhound. Isn't that funny? Oh my
And
gosh, I love it. Well, days gone by for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Emily, I am going to solo lay out this one more time. So friends, if you didn't get your screenshot, there it is for everyone. Really luscious piece today.
Thanks. I
You
like it a
really,
lot. I think
yeah.
I think that's a winner.
Well, everyone you do is. I
Oh,
mean,
I-
this is today's winner. How about
this is
that?
today's winner. Yeah. Yep.
So friends, don't forget you can use that coupon code chain30 to get 30% off all chain. And since I flashed the wrong code at the beginning, I went in and I made metal beads 30 active as well, but you'll have to use it on a second order. Okay. Because you can't combine any of these with any other discounts. So if you want to take advantage of metal beads 30 and chain 30, I'm sorry, you're going to have to place 2 orders, but it's a small bump for such a great discount on all these metal beads. Those metal beads also include those shadows. And my friends, they both of those coupons expire tonight. If you're watching this live, it's only on the live broadcast, only for you folks watching. Tonight, it expires April 17th. At midnight for the live show. Now, you folks are going to see me. I'm going to be back tomorrow for a live. You're going to be seeing my third Thursday earring kit. That goes live at midnight tonight. I'm pretty pleased with it, and they're light. They're not heavy at all.
Yeah. But they've got a lot of eye catching and a lot of movement and a lot of sparkle. Yeah.
I love them. I Say Something earring. On Friday, you're going to see me preview the TGBE kits again. I'll do that on the broadcast, as well as talk about our new symbols. On the Great Bead Extravaganza on Friday night, we're going to do the preview party. So we'll have a link to that as well. So you can see all of the participants, what they're going to be doing. And my show will be on Saturday. I go on at 10 a.m. on Saturday, not 10:30, my usual time for the Great Bead Extravaganza. But you'll see that it's all in our newsletters. So let me see, if I have any final.
I saw one more comment. I was just going through the YouTube comments, and this has come up because I've had questions. People send me things and they say, "Oh, the picture's really bad." You know, we can absolutely do something about photographing your jewelry, and some tips and tricks just using your phone, but you can translate it to a camera if you want. You know, there are some ways you can take a really nice picture where you have no special effects, that you don't have to do anything fancy.
100%. Yeah.
It just takes a smidgen of like knowledge that what you want to look for. And you can absolutely make, I mean, you know, you look at pictures in magazines and catalogs and stuff, and you're like, oh my God, it's so beautiful. And sometimes they're shooting with very, very fancy equipment, but we can show you how to take a really, really great picture with kind of what you got on hand. So
that'll be a great, we'll keep that on tap after I get back from France. We'll put it on a free tip Friday this summer.
Yeah. That would be a fun one to do.
Packaging, display, Kim Crawford saying do it all. So we'll put that on a Friday. That'll be fun. A few Fridays, not just one, because it'll take up a lot. All right. Well, my friend, let me do this real quick before I forget about this. Folks, don't forget to follow us on all of our socials. You can find us at the Bead Table on Facebook, our Facebook group. Follow us on our Instagram. If you make anything with our projects or our products, give us a tag anywhere on social so we can share it to our stories. If you have any questions, shoot out emails over at info@beadshop.com. I am on email duty, but I'm keeping up with it. So almost everyone, if I didn't get an email in the last hour or maybe 2 hours, I should be up on them. So I'm keeping up. I'm trying to do Drea proud. So you can find us over at info@beadshop.com. And I also wanted to show you folks, I went back in and I grabbed my rope. This is my 50th birthday rope that Emily gave me a few years ago. So I thought I'd put mine on in my favorite color, greens, for sure. Yes, there we are. And this will be coming up. Emily will be doing a bead crochet later on this summer. So you folks will
sooner than you think.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. All right. Thank you, Em. Thanks to all of you watching out there. What a fun broadcast. And I think everyone didn't mind that we did a little reminiscing at the end. I think it was fun to share with people. So we went a little.
You got to know all the backstory. You want to be on the in crowd. Come on.
That's right. Backstory. I love it. All right. Have a great day, everybody. And I'll see you tomorrow for earrings. Thanks all.
Bye, guys. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.